following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hello, everyone. This is Rob Denger with Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and as always, I'm here with the great Jack Degraw. How you doing, Jack?
Good. How are you today, Robert?
Not too bad. In a crazy season, the Yankees are 9-2, best record in baseball. Things are good, I guess, considering we're in a shortened season. But the Yankees are been on a roll. I think they're looking to hit their 12th home run, or they've hit a home run in every game so far this season. They're looking for their 12th straight game with a home run tonight.
Yeah, I mean they've looked great. I mean hitting and pitching, even though some of their hitters have struggled. I mean they still score a lot of runs, hit a lot of homers. Yeah,
and speaking of homers, Aaron Judge, he's got 7 home runs in 11 games. He looks fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, he's knocked in a lot of runs. I mean, these home runs are just like flying off the bat, left field, right field, and they're no doubters. It's like, he's fielding his position well, so, he looks like he's the real deal.
Yeah, and a lot of his home runs have either tied the game or given the Yankees the lead, which is always a good thing. And DJ LeMehieu, who was on the COVID list before the season started, didn't really get any practice time with the team in the inter-squad games in summer camp, and he's batting .415. He looks like he hasn't missed a beat at all.
Yeah, he's just he's just a great hitter. I mean, he can spray the ball all fields, and he's an excellent fielder, and he's a great guy to have on your team.
Yeah, and Luke Voigt, I saw a stat the other day. He's now played in over 160 games with the Yankees, and he's batting, I think, over .270 with 30 home runs and over 100 RBIs in a full season, if you count all the games he's played with them. So Luke Voigt is showing his worth. He's had a couple big home runs so far this season, too.
Yeah, and another interesting thing, Robert, Voigt and Stanton, they look like they've lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, Stanton, they look leaner.
Yeah, and I mean, Stanton's hit some bombs, and Voigt has looked like, he's improved his range around first base, and, he looks like he's lost a lot of weight, and, Voigt was what a pickup that was. I mean, there's somebody they got off the scrap heap, and he's a heck of a player. Yeah,
and Gio Urshela, the Yankees, they paid the Blue Jays, I think it was, $25,000 to acquire him, and he's gotten off to a good start this year. He's batting .333, got 3 home runs, including a grand slam with 10 RBIs. 11 hits and 33 at bats. He's played well too this year so far, and they got him for $25,000.
Yeah, and I mean, I was watching some of the games last week, and even from last season. I mean, he's an outstanding third baseman. I mean, he just makes some incredible pickups, and he can throw. He got a lot of power on his throws from all angles. I mean, he's just an incredible third baseman. I mean, he's got a ton of range, and he's one of the best in the business, and there's a lot of good ones.
Yeah, I saw him backhand one as he went past the foul line and still was able to turn around and whip it to first to get the out. It was a great play. He's got a great glove, and he's got a strong arm from the corner. Yeah,
I mean, there's another terrific player. I mean, we were talking off air, Robert, how a lot of, despite them having a great record, a lot of the hitters haven't really, been hitting too well. You want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, Gary Sanchez is batting .74. He's only got 2 hits and 27 at bats. But Garrett Cole has raved about his game calling, and he's got a new stance behind the plate where he's, I guess, sitting on one leg while keeping the other one outstretched. And I guess it's helping him feel more comfortable behind the plate. But you'd like to see him, he's an offensive catcher, and you'd like to see him, do a little bit more offensively. But, I mean, he looks lost at the plate. He's got 16 strikeouts in 9 games. And Gleyber Torres, they moved him to the third spot in the order. And you got to wonder if maybe they rushed and put too much on him by batting him third, because he's struggling at 140, batting 147, and it just seems like he looks like he's home run happy. He looks like he's up there just trying to hit a home run at every at bat, where he's better when he's just trying to swing through the ball. And also Brett Gardner, he's got 3 home runs, but those are the only 3 hits he has. He's batting 174, and Hicks is batting 200. He's getting off to a slow start too. All have high strikeout numbers. Yeah,
the strikeouts are always a concern, and Sanchez looks better defensively. He looks like he's doing a good job of framing pitches.
Yeah,
I think with Gleyber, it might be better if you moved him down a little in the lineup, maybe the 6th or 7th spot.
Yeah, because last year he hit 38 home runs, but there were stretches where you could tell he was trying to hit a home run, and then he got back into that natural swing of his where he's just trying to swing through the ball, and he'd get his average back up. And it just seems this year he's in that home run mode, batting third between Judge and Stanton. I think he's a little bit home run happy to begin the year.
Yeah, I think it might help just to move him down a little bit more in the order. And, Hicks has missed a lot of time, and a lot of these guys, they swing for the fences, and they, like you were saying, they get home run happy, and, it doesn't help you too much offensively when guys are, striking out.
Yeah, because, I wouldn't mind seeing Torres batting second behind LeMehieu and then having Judge batting third, because then Torres is going to see a lot of good pitches, especially if you got Lemayo on base. You're not going to want to have to face Judge with a couple runners on. They might want to think about it. They'll probably keep Torres in the third spot for a while longer, but if you keep striking out, and they might have to make a move him up or down in the lineup.
Yeah, because you can't have somebody like that batting third. The interesting thing, Robert, I know Gardner struck out like 7 out of the first 8 times or something up, but he hit a home run to left field the other day at the stadium, and that's the first home run he's ever hit to left field.
Yeah, can you believe that? I think they said there was one other home run he hit to left field, but it was an inside the park home run and never cleared the fence. But technically that was his first home run that he hit to left field, and that's something considering he's been with the Yankees for quite a bit now.
Yeah, he's been there like I believe a dozen seasons at least, and so anymore, especially in Yankee State, it doesn't matter if they're right or lefty. I mean, guys are hitting home runs, left-handed hitters are going to right field, and vice versa. I mean, it's like the park can't hold these guys. Yeah, and Mike Tauchman, looking at his minor league stats, everywhere he's played in the minors, he's hit. And so far this season, he's batting .357. He's got, 3 home runs. He's getting on base. He's scoring runs. But if he keeps hitting the way he is, Gardner might lose some at-bats in left field, because if Tauchman keeps hitting the way he's hitting, you can't take him out of the lineup. I mean, he's really turned out to be a good hitter. Remember, he got hurt last year, and he was having a great second half of the season and got hurt. Yeah, I mean, the thing about him, he can play anywhere defensively in the outfield and do an outstanding job. And like you were saying, he got like about 2,300 at-bats in the minor leagues, and every place he played, he hit, and he's carried that over to the major leagues. And, he looks like, an outstanding player, and I believe he's getting on there, and he's like 28 or 29, so he should be like in his peak years.
Yeah, and the sad thing, I'm a huge Miguel Andujar fan, and Miguel Andujar and Tauchman were basically fighting for at bats, and Tauchman took advantage of it, where Andujar, I've been watching him closely to start the year, and you can tell he's been pressing. Normally he's a line drive hitter, and he'll hit to each gap, or hit home runs the opposite field, or pull them, and you could tell he was just trying to uppercut everything, and he was just getting underneath every pitch he hit, and he was popping it up to shallow outfield, the infield, and finally the Yankees sent him and Estrada down to their alternate site because the rosters went from 30 to 28. And it kind of bums me out because I really think Andujar's got a very bright future. But a player like him, he needs to play every day. He can't just play every third or fourth game. It's just too hard for someone who needs those swings.
Yeah, well, I mean that's the bad thing. I mean, guys like Andujar and Clint Frazier, they're getting like left down the minor leagues when they could be up in the major leagues and really excel with almost any other team. But when you play a 60-game schedule, you don't have many at bats to get your swing, and guys like Andujar, it's really hurting them.
Yeah, and Aaron Boone even said today, he goes, Miguel Andujar could bat third in anyone's lineup. He's like, I can think of 7 or 8 teams off the top of my head where Andujar could be put right into their third spot. And that says a lot about the player Boone thinks Andujar is. And even Boone said about Clint Frazier that he belongs in the major leagues. He's proved he belongs. But unfortunately, the Yankees have a logjam. And unfortunately for these guys, they're in the middle of their prime. I mean, I think Frazier's 25, and I think Andujar might be 25 or 26. So these guys are right in the middle of their prime, and the Yankees basically have ownership of them for a few more years at least.
Well, I think this is Brett Gardner's last year with the Yankees, so you'll probably see one of them, take Gardner's spot next year, and Andujar has learned to play a few positions, so that could help him. But you got Judge he's coming up on a contract. I think he's signed for a couple of years, and Hicks you have signed for a couple of years. So you don't really know, what they can do with these guys, where they're going to fit them in. So
they signed Hicks to a 7-year deal 2 years ago. So I think he's got 5 years left on his deal. Stanton's got 8 years left on his deal. They're going to lock Judge up. It's a matter of what shakes out in the future. But the one thing about Andujar is he can play. He's shown that he's willing to play left field. He can play third, and he's even tried playing first base. So he's willing to try to find anywhere to play. And it's always good to have a player like that on your team.
Yeah, when you can play multiple positions, that'll get you in that'll get you in the lineup more often, and maybe he could DH, but then you have Stanton as a DH. So there's not a lot of bats to be had if you don't hit right away.
And Andujar did have a beautiful diving catch the other day at third base. It was a great defensive play. But then also there was a game, I think the other night, where he was in the outfield and he booted a ball. So, I mean, he's still learning the outfield a little bit. But he's just too talented with the bat. And, I think both him and Clint Frazier could be perennial all-stars if they were starting every day for another team.
Yeah, that's one of the bad things when you get stuck with a team with a lot of talent, and some guys just get left at the corral, or so to speak, or whatever you want to say. And it's just a shame, but they got 2 great players, and there's no place to put them.
Yeah, and Mike Ford the other night, Judge hit that 3-run home run to bring the Yankees closer to the Phillies, and they called Mike Ford out on a strike that was inside, and the replay showed the ball was inside. I mean, he got gypped on that, and he almost hit a home run on the pitch before. It just went foul, you know. I know Voigt's swinging a hot bat, but it's nice to have Mike Ford there to give him a little spell every now and then, because I do like Mike Ford's bat.
Yeah, he's like, you know, he don't swing at bad pitches. He works the count. He's got power. He does a nice job defensively at first base. So, you know, the Yankees really have a wealth of talent, and they're still fairly young. I mean, they're going to be good for a long time.
Yeah, and going over to their pitching, Gerritt Cole, he's 3-0 in his 3 starts, and he says he doesn't feel where he needs to be yet. And if he's saying that, I can't wait to see what he looks like when he does feel like he's got everything under control, because he's looked great. Even if he is struggling, he's showing ways to get out of it, and he looks great. I mean, he's pitched 17 2/3 innings, and he struck out 16. He's only given up 4 walks, and he's got a 2.55 ERA.
Yeah, I mean, and everything would be a lot better for me. Maybe like 5 pitches. You know, he's given up a couple home runs, and I believe in his last start, they scored like 2 runs off him on 3 pitches.
Yeah.
So it's only been, you know, a pitch here and there, and or else he would be, you know, he would be perfect. But when he gets to 100%, you know, he's the best pitcher in baseball, or one of the top 2 or 3.
And the thing that worried me too coming into the season was, especially this shortened season, was James Paxton, because he's notoriously a slow starter. It usually takes him the first half of the season to figure everything out, and then by the second half, he's untouchable. Like last year, he won his last 11 games last year in the second half of the season.
Yeah, and he pitched great in the playoffs too.
Yeah, and he won 15 games last year, and 11 of those wins came in the second half. And in 15 starts in the first half, he went 5-4. I mean, I guess you would take a 5-4 record in a shortened season, but so far Paxton in 12 how many innings has he pitched? In 4 innings, Paxton's given up 8 runs on 12 hits.
Well, I think the thing is, you know, Robert, these guys are used to having 6 weeks worth of spring training.
Yeah.
And they only got 3 weeks, and, you know, just a lot of these pitchers. I believe in the major leagues, a lot of pitchers have been getting injuries, and there's been a lot of like, you know, they only pitch a few innings. I think you're going to have to keep the roster at 30, because a lot of pitchers are going to be getting hurt, and you know, a guy like Paxton and Happ and, you know, Tanaka, you know, I don't think they'll be rounding into shape till maybe mid-September. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Yeah,
because Paxton, he usually throws around 95, 96 with his fastball, but it's down to around 92, 93 this year. And also his curveball and changeup are slower than they were a year ago. So it might be a case that he just doesn't have the leg strength, you know, built up yet. You know, it might take a couple more starts to get that, you know, that power back in the legs.
Yeah, because usually, like in spring training, you know, the first 2 or 3 starts are just feeling everything out. Most of the starters they like to throw like, you know, high 20s, maybe 30 innings in spring training before they feel 100%. And you know, I don't think Paxton, he's not ready to do that yet. And Tanaka too, and Happ, same thing.
Yeah, and Happ. I mean, the Yankees gave Happ a 3-0 lead the other day, and he gives it right away. And Happ so far this year in 7 innings has given up 8 runs on 7 hits, and he's given up 3 home runs. And since last year, Happ's given up the 4th most home runs in the major leagues with 37 home runs. So I mean, and you could tell yesterday that he the first 2 innings he got through, but then the 3rd inning he just couldn't get the ball over the plate. he just seemed to be fishing. He just never threw the ball over the plate after that.
Yeah, like you were saying, the first 2 innings he looked good. He pitched out of it, and then all of a sudden he just loses it. So you know, obviously he doesn't quite yet have the arm strength, or there just something's not right. Like you were saying, maybe his legs aren't ready to go that far yet, but it's a concern. But the Yankees are still 9-2.
Yes, that's the beauty of it. And you know this from talking to me. I'm a big Jordan Montgomery fan. I thought after his rookie year, he won 9 games his rookie year, and he was among the major league leaders in swings and misses. And I thought his sophomore year he would, go from 9 wins to 11, maybe even 13. But he got hurt all last year, and his first start this year, he looked brilliant. He went 5 2/3 innings, just gave up 1 run on 5 hits, struck out 4, and he's pitching tonight. But I think Montgomery could be one of those unsung heroes this year, where he can pick up the slack for a Happ or a Paxton until they get their legs under him.
Yeah, I mean, he really looked good his first time out, and even in I think in one of the scrimmage games against the Mets, he looked good.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's one of those big arms. We were talking about with the Yankees. I mean, they got a lot of talent in the minor leagues. I think we've seen a little bit of it with Nick Nelson. He got knocked around yesterday, but he looked good. His first time out. And there's some other kid. Was it Brooks something?
I know Michael King looked good, and then Brooks Kriske.
Yeah.
He looked good. He got 1. I think he gave up a home run, but other than that, he looked really good.
Yeah, so that's some of the guys you haven't even heard of yet. Did they do anything with Michael King yet? Did they bring him up, Robert? Yeah,
I think he's still on the roster because he pitched. I forget the game he pitched, but he came in relief of I think it might have been Paxton in one of his starts, and he pitched extremely well. But he got hit. He got touched up with the long ball twice in 2 games. So he's given up 6 runs on 7 hits, but really it was 2 bad pitches that led to the home runs. But otherwise, he's looked good.
Now, what's the schedule coming up? Tonight they got the Phillies, and who do they have after that, Robert?
After the Phillies, they got 4 with Tampa Bay, and either they're playing a doubleheader Saturday or Sunday. I think the doubleheader might be moved to Sunday with Tampa. And then after 4 games with Tampa, they play 2 against the Braves and 4 against the Red Sox, and then 3 more against Tampa, and it's all at Yankee Stadium.
Okay.
Except for the Tampa series.
Okay. Anything new with any teams get hit with the virus today or yesterday, or you ever heard anything?
Not that I heard. The last thing I heard was 4 Cardinal players tested positive, but that was 3 days ago, maybe 4 days ago, and they postponed the Cardinals-Brewers series. But I think they're good to go.
Well, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of doubleheaders.
Yeah, and Mike Talkman was saying today that he would prefer to play doubleheaders every Sunday if that's the case. If they're going to be making up games, might as well just play doubleheaders every Sunday, and just have Mondays off.
Well, one of the things, Robert, I mean, it won't happen because the owners want, the 2 gates instead of 1. But it'd be nice when the season, when everything gets back to normal and they play 162 games, it wouldn't be a bad idea to play Sunday doubleheaders and have guys, then you have Monday off. I mean, that'll never happen, but they don't want to lose they don't want to lose the gate. But it would be nice to see doubleheaders Sunday, 4th of July, Labor Day, Memorial Day, and then, they have the next day off.
Yeah, and looking at the Twins are in first place in the Central. The Athletics are in first place in the West. Let me check out the National League. Cubs are in first in the Central. The Marlins are in first place in the East. Half game up on the Braves. How about that? But they've only played 6 games compared to the Braves 13. And the Rockies and Dodgers are tied for the lead in the West. But I think the 2 best teams in baseball right now are the Yankees and Dodgers.
Well, I think that's what Major League Baseball would like to see, the Yankees and the Dodgers in the World Series. And I think, Robert, I was reading somewhere the first game where the Yankees played the Nationals, they had like a huge TV audience.
Yeah, it was something like 15.5 million. It was one of their biggest watched events as far as baseball and in quite some time, I think.
Yeah, it's amazing. You keep on hearing how baseball's dying and everything like that, and then you see the big, the TV audience and the attendance figures. It's just, I don't know. It's still as popular, maybe not as it ever used to be, but it's still popular.
And the Twins, they're 10-3. I mean, remember last year the Twins they set the major league record for most home runs in the season. I think they hit one more than the Yankees did last year. I think the Twins are no joke.
No, Rocco Baldelli's done a great job with the Twins, and they always seem to do a nice job out there. They've gotten the playoffs numerous times over the last 10, 12 years, and the Twins are one of the small market teams that just seem to do it the right way.
Yeah, and going back to the Yankees pitching, Jonathan Holder's looked good. He's pitched in 3 games, and he's each inning he's pitched, he's been lights out. Wasn't he hurt last year or part of the year last year?
Yeah, he had some injury problems last year. I know he's been up and down with the team for, I think, maybe even 3 years now.
Yeah, and Ben Heller, too, has looked good in his one outing.
Yeah, he was hurt a lot, I think, last season, or maybe it was 2 years ago. He missed almost the whole season and stuff, and he's got a big time arm too. And, and Zach Britton's 5, and he's 5 for 5 in save opportunities. I think in his 5 outings, he's only given up 1 hit in his 5 outings, Zach Britton. So, I mean, if he pitches like that and we get Chapman back there, that's a nice 1-2 punch in the end of the end of the bullpen. Yeah, one of the things I've heard about Chapman, Robert, he's throwing a bullpen today, and then he's going to throw another bullpen in a few days, and he's going to face live hitters a little bit down the road, so he won't be back for another 10 days to 2 weeks. But, he is throwing a bullpen. I believe it's tonight. It's unfortunate about Tommy Canale. He's done for the year. I think he opted for Tommy John surgery. I'm not sure, but I know he's pretty much done for the year. Yeah, I think he got hurt a few days ago, and so we might not see him till the end of next season. Yeah, and I'm curious to when we might see Clark Schmidt, because we were talking about him before the season started, how he just looked like he belonged out there on the mound. His presence out there is one of a veteran. I mean, and he throws some great stuff. Well, if guys like, Paxton struggle, and Tanaka and Happ, I mean, I'm sure at some point in the season we'll see Clark Schmidt up and, pitching for the Yankees. Yeah, and like the other day I was telling you off air, Jonathan Loaiza, he started yesterday, was supposed to be an opening, and Loaiza got the start, and Boone pulled him after, in the 3rd inning, he had 1 out with a runner on first, and he pulled him, and I felt like he could have at least let him finish that inning, because to me, he looks strong. I think Loaiza's got terrific stuff. I mean, a couple of years ago when he had to fill in, he went 7-0 as a starter.
for the Yankees. I think it was either 2017 or 2018. But he got hurt. He was hurt all last year. But the year before that, he looked really good when he came in and started, I think, 9 games and went 7-0.
Yeah, he's got all the pitches. He's got a lot of tools, and I think they're flip-flopping. Like last year, Robert, they used to start Chad Greene, and then they brought him in. And now it's looked like, the Loaiza are starting, and then they're bringing in Chad Greene afterwards.
Yeah, and Loaiza, he's given up only 4 earned runs, but I think a couple of them came on home runs. But other than that, in 3 innings, he's got 10 strikeouts. So, I mean, other than getting hit twice with the long ball, he's looked very good. And speaking of Chad Greene, he's been lights out in 5 games. He's pitched 8 innings, struck out 11, and only allowed 1 walk and 1 hit. He's been lights out, too, Chad Greene.
Yeah, I know there was talk he was developing a third pitch. I believe it was a curveball or something, because teams were just waiting for power pitches from him. But he's pitched awesome so far this season. Looks really good.
And like Montgomery tonight, I'm looking to see him build off of his first start, and then Tanaka pitches after him, and Tanaka, he looked pretty good in his first start. He only went 2 2/3 innings, gave up 2 runs, but only 1 of it was earned, and he had 3 strikeouts. And again, he only threw 50 pitches. I thought he would at least go 60, 70, but I guess Boone wants to play it safe and not take the risk of hurting any of his pitchers early in the year. But even though it's not early, considering once August is over with, we only got a month left.
Yeah, I think probably the next start he'll be up to 60 pitches.
Yeah,
and it's crazy how everything is, and you don't know from one game to another. But the Yankees look awesome. Yeah,
they do. I mean. And Stanton, I think Stanton and Judge are going to have a great year as long as they're healthy. I mean, like you said, Stanton looks leaner, and that home run he hit off of Scherzer in the first game of the year, I mean, that was a 96-mile-an-hour fastball up in the zone, and he just parked it in the bleachers. And then he had another one. He hit 486 feet, like it was nothing. So Stanton looks great. I mean, he's batting 300 with 2 homers and 6 RBIs, and you got Judge batting 310 with 7 home runs and 17 RBIs. And so having those 2 guys right there, 2 and 4, I mean, they can do some damage.
Yeah, I mean, when Stanton hits them, Robert, I mean, they're like boom.
Yeah,
they're like 100,
and when
120 miles an hour.
Yeah, and Stanton, once he starts hitting him, he seems to get in a groove for like 4 or 5 days or a week straight, where he's just knocking him out of the ballpark. Right now, though, it's Aaron Judge that's hitting him out left and right. I actually thought Judge might have a chance to tie, or at least come close to Mattingly, Griffey, and Dale Long's 8-home run streak, because he had homered in, I think it was, 5 straight games, 6 straight games, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he play the second game last night?
Yeah, Judge did.
Okay.
Yeah, but Judge is off tonight, though. They're giving Judge and DJ LeMehieu a rest.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to pull up the lineup real quick. It's a weird lineup. I think they have Hicks batting off. Let's see.
Yeah, I think the Phillies have only played like 5 or 6 games.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, they had, they got stuck with the Marlin debacle, and
yeah, the Marlins have only played 6 games themselves. Yeah, the Yankees got Talkman leading off, playing right field. Luke Voigt's batting second, playing first. Aaron Hicks is batting third, playing center. Stanton batting fourth, DHing. Torres, they moved down to fifth, playing shortstop, so they did move Torres down in the lineup tonight. And then they got Brett Gardner batting sixth, playing left. Urshela playing third. Sanchez batting seventh, catching. Tyler Wade playing second, batting eighth. Oh, I'm sorry, I got that mixed up. Wade's batting ninth. Sanchez is batting eighth. Sherrill is batting seventh. But, yeah, they got Tyler Wade playing second tonight and Talkman playing right field.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Wade really impressed me. He's got great speed and what he can do defensively. I mean, he can play he's an excellent shortstop, and he's an excellent second base, and he does a nice job at third. He can play the outfield. I just hope, he gets more of an opportunity to hit because he's a guy who could stick around the major leagues for like 12, 13 years.
Yeah, and watching him this year, he actually looks more comfortable this year than he has the previous few years. He seems more settled in.
Yeah, at the end of last year, in September, he hit really well. But, it's hard to, we were talking about it. It's hard for anybody to hit when they don't, get the consistent at-bats.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about Miguel Andujar that got me is because he's only played 5 games, and someone like Andujar, whose rookie year he had over 600 at-bats, and someone like him who's a contact hitter, line drive hitter, you got to see pitches, and, you got to be able to see live pitching day in, day out when you're that type of hitter.
Yeah. I mean, the Yankees have guys on the bench that would make a nice starting lineup for their team.
Yeah. And DJ LeMehieu, I think this is his last year on his contract. The Yankees, they got to sign him up because, I've heard of him, but I didn't realize how good he really was. I mean, this guy he hits the ball all over the field. You can't play a shift on him. Because if you play him to pull, he hits it the other way. If you play him to hit the other way, he pulls. I mean, he does a great job of hitting.
Yeah, he was a National League batting champion, one year.
Yeah. And that's why I'm surprised. I never really heard of him, but that's because I think all the years in Colorado. Yeah,
I mean, a lot of times when guys play in Colorado, I mean, you have to hit wherever you play, but they always say it's the high altitude. I almost said attitude. The high altitude. Yeah. And, a lot of what they do at home, they don't get the credit for. But, I mean, if you can hit, you can hit. And Lemayo is just, that kind of hitter. You hit anyway.
Even though we talk about Yankees on this show, the Mets, I thought the Mets would get off to a much better start, but their bullpen just seems to implode at the end, and Dellin Betances, I thought, would be someone that would help solidify the back end of that bullpen, but apparently he's off to a little bit of a rough start. I guess he's having trouble with his fastball. There's no life on it. I mean, he still throws hard, but he needs that late life on that fastball to make his breaking balls more effective. But if he can get his stuff together, I think he could be the Mets closer if he can get it together.
Yeah, I know. Last year when he was hurt a lot, I mean, even in spring training, he was only hitting 92. And that was a concern. Plus, it was early in the spring. But, he's usually 98, 100 miles an hour. And if they lose, some velocity off their fastball, they have to compensate with other pitches, and sometimes that takes a while to, develop that.
Yeah. The Cardinals have only played 5 games, and the Marlins have only played 6.
Well, I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, one of the things they said, if some of these teams keep on, breaking the protocol, they might just say, what are you going to do? You're not going to have. You're just going to tell some teams to go home, and at the end of the season, some teams will play 60 games, other teams will play 50. I mean, I don't know. I don't think really anybody knows at this point.
And the media, the one thing about the media, they're crucifying them for not playing in a bubble. But back in, I think, March and April, the commissioner was talking about a bubble. But at the time, the Northeast was a mess. And the only viable option they could find where they could play in a bubble was Arizona. But the heat out there gets so bad during the summer, they were worried and concerned about the players' health, and also the players' union rejected it. So, I mean, a lot of people want to blame Rob Manfred, the commissioner, but I mean, he's dealing with the most powerful union in sports and the Major League Players Association. He can't make a rule without their agreement. So, I mean, what we got is, what we got, and these players, you can keep an eye on them at the ballpark, but once they leave, you don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, and another place, Robert, they were talking about Florida.
Yeah.
A few months ago, Florida was, they were going to play down here at their spring training fields or Tropicana Field, and you could play in Miami, and everything just got worse down here. I mean, the Blue Jays wanted to come down to Dunedin. And now they're playing in Buffalo because they can't play in Toronto. So, everything changes so quickly. And, Arizona would be just too damn hot. And even if you play down here in the summer, you get a lot of rain, and it's brutal in the summer.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. You could play. You could play all your games in West Virginia, or you could go out and play in North Dakota, South Dakota, and Colorado. But I don't think they have the stadiums in North and South Dakota. But could you have major league teams staying there? So who knows? Yeah,
and Yankees right now are 4.5 games up on the Rays, so that this 4-game series with the Rays coming up starting Friday, that could be a big series if Tampa sweeps them. They would put them a half game behind the Yankees. So because right now all the experts pick that Tampa will be the team that will give the Yankees the most problems in their division.
Yeah, and the Yankees always they struggle down here at the Tropicana Field. But what is it, Robert? Is it the top 8 teams in each league make the playoffs?
I think so. I think something like that, yeah. They made that rule change right before the season started about the expanded playoffs. It was like all of a sudden the season's about to start, and it was, oh, by the way, we're going to have an expanded playoff roster or expanded playoff teams.
So, I mean, I guess how many games you win in the regular season, the Yankees win 45 games in the regular season, then the playoffs come, and boom, you could be out in 3 games.
Yeah, and they also said if teams don't finish with enough games under the belt, they'll go by winning percentage. So if a team, doesn't play as many games as another team but has a better winning percentage, they would get in, to the playoffs ahead of a team that played more games, which seems a little unfair. But, this is a crazy year, crazy season, so.
Well, one of the things, Robert, I believe it was 1972 they had a strike. And teams, they lost the first 7-10 games of the days of the season. And the Tigers beat out the Red Sox by a half a game because the Red Sox played one less game than the Tigers.
Really?
Yeah. So it's happened before. That's when the Red Sox, they had the hex on them. They lost the division title by a half a game. They were playing the Tigers 3 games in Detroit, and the Tigers won the division because the Red Sox played one less game.
Oh my God. That's why I was thinking Judge when he hit the 5 home runs, and I can't remember if he hit 6 in 6 games, but it just shows you how hard it is to hit 8 home runs in 8 consecutive games. And to think only 3 players have done it. One of them's the Yankee, and Don Manning, which is my favorite player.
Yeah.
And Griffey and Dale Long. What team did Dale Long play for? Do you remember?
Dale Long was with the Pirates, and he played for the Yankees too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, for a brief spell, but his big years with the Pirates.
Yeah. But when we were talking off air, I was talking about the analytics, and I just feel the game I grew up with, like, Ricky Henderson stealing over 100 bases, I don't know how many years. We'll never see a Ricky Henderson or Tim Raines or Vince Coleman again. I mean, there's so many things that we won't see. I mean, like with the shift now, you got third baseman playing past second and the second baseman playing in the outfield. I mean, back in the day, I mean, you were a great second baseman if you had great range to your left or right. Same with shortstop. But nowadays, the ball's hit right to you because you're playing the shift and the numbers. So to me, the game's just completely different. It just seems like the numbers don't matter anymore. The batting average, the home runs, the hits, the runs. The only thing these kids and their analytics care about is RBIs and on base percentage.
Yeah, I mean, it's changed so much with everything. The rule changes, and the runners on second with 2 outs and extra innings. You have to pitch to 3 batters. The 7-inning doubleheaders. I mean,
yeah.
It's just a different game, and if you followed the game your whole life, you really don't like all these different ways of playing the game, especially the analytics. I'm not a big fan of analytics either.
Yeah, I mean, I like it when the manager, let's just say Sparky Lyle, is going up against a Tommy Lasorda in a World Series, and they're battling wits instead of going to a book, that tells them, what percentage this play, or this pitcher, that hit. I like it when it's, they're playing on their baseball IQ and not having to refer to a book.
They would bring in a relief pitcher, they'd bring in the 7th inning.
Yeah.
If you had to pitch 2 in the 3rd inning to get the save or whatever, they would do it. But now it's righty lefty and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
It's just changed. I mean, now the strikeouts don't mean anything.
Yeah, I mean, I know the game evolves. Like back in the 70s, Goose Gossage, when he closed games, he closed the last 3 innings of a game, and Mariano, he closed the last inning of the game. But it just seems like analytics is changing the game a lot, and I think with analytics, you're going to see a lot of player salary go down because why pay the high-priced player when you can replace him with 3 players that can duplicate his numbers?
Well, that's one of the reasons the owners love this stuff, because instead of giving a guy, $10 million a year, say, to close games, you can build a relief staff with that money.
Yeah. So, and did I talk about Aaron Hicks on air with you, or did I talk to you about it off air?
That was off air. You want to go on that? Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, I had this kid. I was on Twitter, and we were talking, and he told me Aaron Hicks is a top 5 center fielder in Major League Baseball. In fact, he said he was top 3. And I'm like, well, where the hell are you getting your information from? How can you even think that? And he told me his wins above replacement ranks 3rd in the major leagues. And I brought up his stats for the last 4 years. He averages 100 games. He averages a batting average of 241. He averages 16 home runs, 50 RBIs, and 50 walks with 80 strikeouts. And to me, that is average. I mean, yeah, granted, he works the count. He gets walks, but he's a lousy hitter. He's got good range in the outfield, but he's got an average arm. And I don't know how someone who seems average can be a top 5 center fielder when he's batting .241, hitting 16 home runs and driving in 50 runs. But apparently, since wins above replacement puts him third, he's a top 5 center fielder. But again, he's playing for the New York Yankees. So, I mean, I think those kind of numbers when it comes to analytics are a little bit misleading.
Yeah, I mean, when they got him from the Twins, he's a toolsy guy. He's got talent. He could develop into a outstanding player. The first year it looked like he was coming on, and then he had, injuries. But like you were saying, when you play on a strong team, it's like you can struggle. I mean, look at like the Yankees are now. They're 9-2, and a lot of their hitters are really, they're hitting the ball well. But if you look, okay, they're on a great team, and they've done this. I mean, Hicks could be a good player. He's done some good things with the Yankees, but the top 3 or 4 players, center fielders in baseball, I don't see it.
Yeah, and when the Yankees did acquire Hicks, Joe Girardi was hesitant to even put him in the lineup. It wasn't until I think Cashman intervened that they started putting him in the lineup. And I remember Cashman coming out saying Hicks is going to be a future superstar. And despite the injuries, Cashman still went and gave him a 7-year, $140 million contract. I mean, for some reason, Cashman is in love with Darren Hicks. He thinks he's going to be a superstar. But, I mean, I don't see it, not after 2 years into the 7-year contract. I mean, he just seems to can't stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give Cashman, getting Talkman and getting Voit and, other guys. He's done a terrific job. But right now, when you lock up Hicks for another, for 7 years and you got another 5 seasons with him, and then you got a guy like Frazier in the minors, and you got Andujar going up and down. It's like I hope he don't block these guys if he doesn't perform. And
also Jason Dominguez, that international player they signed, he's their number 1 rated prospect. I don't know when he'll ever make his major league debut, but I'm guessing it'll be in a few years. I'm anxious to see what he can do, but they're not playing any minor league games, so I don't know if there's any footage of him, playing any simulated games anywhere.
No, I just seen some, stuff on YouTube. He was, he was lifting tires and stuff.
I mean, the guy's 17, 18 years old, and he's built like Mickey Mantle, and he's a switch hitter too.
Yeah, that's the thing, Robert, with this year. A lot of these young kids, they don't get a chance to, to hone their skills because they just don't have any games. So I don't know what they're going to do if they can bring guys down here in, September and October to Florida or November, and maybe they'll play inter-squad games, or say the Yankees go over to Clearwater, Dunedin, but I really don't know if they can do anything, with these kids because, there's just no place to play. I don't even think, I think the Yankee minor league complex is closed. Nobody can even go there to work out.
Yeah, and their alternate site, are they playing inter-squad games down there with the alternate site, the extra players?
No, nothing. The Yankees are in Scranton. That's where their alternate site is. So that's why, like when they send guys down, they can be back in New York in a few hours. But right now they're at Scranton where the AAA team is. Okay. And they're playing, I believe they're playing inter-squad games every day.
Yeah, because, I mean, I really do hope we see Miguel Andujar back up. I just think he just he'll break out of it eventually, and when he does, I think he could be a really good bat to have.
Well, I think he'll be back at some point. He'll be back at some point. I think, you'll see Frazier back at some point. And who knows, they could bring these two guys up and, they might get the game-winning hit in the World Series. So, it's always a possibility.
Yeah, Brian Hodge just announced that the Yankees-Orioles game that was originally scheduled for August 5th will be made up as a doubleheader on September 4th.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we're going to see a lot of that.
Yeah.
So it's it's a crazy season. I hope they get through it, and we'll see what happens with baseball and other sports, but it's day to day. Yeah,
and tonight I'm looking to see if maybe Gleyber Torres getting moved down to the 5th spot will spark something, and I'm interested to see what Talkman can do at the top of the lineup, and Montgomery. Those are the three guys I'm looking at tonight to see what they can do.
Yeah, that's some things to look forward to. I mean, it's still nice, at least we got baseball and get our minds off other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and Stanton, I'm going to go out on a limb and say he hits a home run tonight, too.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. So what do you think, Jack? Same time next week?
Yep. Hopefully everything will start to smooth out a little, and we can get back on a weekly schedule without all the postponements and everything. But it's always nice to talk baseball with you, Robert.
Oh, always. Likewise, Jack. I'm looking to see if there's any off days next week. No, there's no off days, but they're off next Thursday. So you want to do this again next Thursday?
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. For all our Yankee fans out there, me and Jack will be back next Thursday. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you, Robert. Have a good week.
You too.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.